Wow, what is up, everyone? Hello. Look, we're starting with some code examples because I just updated these and it's exciting. And I'll tell you why it's exciting. It's exciting because I've added two new things to the game modules, which I think are pretty swell additions. And the first one is this property code thing. So I just add this this list here, or not list, this details. I'm forgetting my words. That's what's happening. I'm forgetting my words. The documentation for it right here. So essentially the property code is this wonderful script that gets exported. I'll show it to you. It looks like this once it's exported and formatted by writer. And it's just a whole bunch of links to strings, the UIDs, and the using the repositories, the scriptable objects for all the different things I've set up in my game. So all the objects, the item objects, and then down here we have item attributes, and then down here we've got stats, and somewhere there's even conditions. Oh yeah, the couple conditions I've added already: cunning and dumb, which is the opposite of cunning. And hello there, Aaron. How are you today? I hope you and your family are doing well. And stats, and so it's just basically I was coding last weekend or Monday or whatever, and I thought to myself, damn, I don't want to keep copying these UIDs. It's not like it's hard. There's a button that says copy, and it copies it to your clipboard, so it's not hard to copy the UIDs, but I didn't want to be taken out of coding in order to get the UID on something that I knew the name wasn't going to change, because if you use this, this uses the names and it uses the types, like hidden stats, so if you change those, you're going to have to re-export the property code, or property script, and then change your code. But that's not so bad, and really it's so much easier to code. So I add this documentation for it here with some examples of how you can use it, which is what I've been doing the last couple days. The other thing is, in these stats, I was on a walk yesterday, and this is the important part about going for walks. This is why going for walks is important, because I was walking yesterday and I was just, what was I listening to? I think I was just listening to music. I don't always listen to music. Sometimes I listen to podcasts or YouTube videos or other things like that, audiobooks. But I was listening to music and I was thinking, sure would be easy if I could just automatically add stats. And then I thought to myself, the get method gets a stat, and if it doesn't have a stat, it just returns null. What if instead of returning null, it just added the stat? And I thought, hey, I should do that. So I got home and quickly forgot about it until I was like about ready to go to bed, and then I was like, oh wait, forgot. I was actually brushing my teeth when I realized I forgot to do that. And so last night, after I brushed my teeth to get ready for bed, I actually did it, and it works, and it's amazing. And so now I add this documentation for it too, using get to add a stat. It's really nice. Now instead of gain final stat by UID, I used to have a bit here that would say try get the stat, and if it couldn't get that, return 0. Because that would be the stat, and be like, oh well, hey, Jason Wyman's here too. The rest of Sonic the Hedgehog, yeah, we'll see if I'm still alive. You never know. Get or add stat. Rename it get or add stat. Could do that. But it still just gets stat. Unless you add the true here, it doesn't. It just gets the stat. I didn't want to mess with people's code, but maybe we'll do that. We'll see. But right now it just says it adds it. So we can dig into that stat game stats list. I keep forgetting. That's a whole nother story. So all it does here now is says, hey, get the first. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, I pulled it out. Okay. So it says get the first or default, and if it didn't find it, or rather, if it did find it, if it's not null, or if we're not adding, if null, then it's just going to return whatever it found, which could be null. And then, otherwise, it's going to add a new stat with the new owner, which could be null, and whether it's distinct. In most cases, it's going to be distinct, but what can you do? So and it's going to add that. So this adds, that's all this does. It adds it. No big deal there, nothing fancy. But if the new owner's null, then it's just going to return that new stat. So now instead of returning null, it returns the new stat. But if there's an owner, there's an expectation. I'm making an assumption here that when you're calling get, you probably want it to have been computed already. And so it's going to return the final stat, but it's also going to recompute the value before it does that. So for instance, as an example, just a quick little thing here, we got our base stats. Luck is one of the base stats. In the main settings, the value, the points is 11. So it should start at 11 unless you have some other modification, and the character might have other modifications that affect this stat, then it will be 11. And so now it will return 11, and it will add it, compute it, and return it all in one call, which means when you're adding stats to, or when you're setting up any character and you add a new stat in the game later, you don't necessarily have to remember to add it to all the character stats lists, which is good because if you're like me, you're going to forget. And it also means that for many cases, you don't actually have to set up stats at all. So I've got a character creation scene where at the beginning of the game, you choose your stats and it shows the stats in the list, all these basic stats, luck, might, personality, speed, etc. And they all start at 11. They get modified fire class and stuff. But the very act of getting the value of those stats to display in the UI will itself add those stats to the class, to the list, the game stats list. And I think that's pretty cool, because that means I don't have to do that. One less step, right? Yes, I learned the method, the method of method naming, what it does, what it needs. I try to do that. I don't always succeed, but I do try to do that as much as possible. Jason Storey drilled that into me, into my brain, maybe a year ago or so. And so I try to do that. So that's the exciting bits. Those are the exciting bits. I think I added one other thing or something, but they are there on the asset store. So if you go to infinitypbr.com, click See All Assets, and then scroll down to Modules. It's usually somewhere up the top. We got 2 new low poly characters coming soon. Spiders and Scorpions. They both need some updates from the artist who's working on them, but they are soon to be coming out. So modules here, and then what are my release notes? I try to do release notes here too. So this is all from yesterday. Oh yeah, I also made the point actions method virtual. Somebody on the Discord was asking about how to modify, like if you have like a poison condition that causes damage, they want to modify it so, or their example was fire. The character might be strong against fire, and the condition doesn't have a built-in method of you know, resistances or something like that. That's sort of the, you know, the modules will help you manage and use the data, but when it comes to the details about how you use the data, that's really up to you. And so I made that virtual so it can be overridden. I need to test it more robustly. I think it should work just fine, but now a user could override the point actions method. Yeah. Property codes thing is really easy too. You just go up to game modules, property code, and then click that button. It'll overwrite the existing code, and it just saves it into the game modules thing right here. There it is. And then to use it, you just use it, really, I think. In my player, I don't think, do you have to do anything up here? I do this up here, but it looks like I don't actually have to. So I guess I don't have to do that. I think you just call properties stats. So I mean, as an example, var test equals properties dot, and then you got your condition stats, item objects, item attributes. So I can look like add attributes dot, and then you've got your attribute types. I mean, like, oh, I'm gonna go for character class dot, and then you have all your character classes here. You got the UIDs, which you can just call for the string, or your scriptable objects. Now the scriptable object, of course, also has UIDs, but it has all these other things. This is the data repository of the thing. So now it's a lot easier just to, you know, get that information. That's it. And it's all human readable. If you name things properly, then it's human readable, I suppose. And you're a human who's able to read. It's not human readable for a human who can't read, is it? You love to hate giants, spiders, and scorpions. It's true. Alright, so that all leads me to what I want to do today, which is add some stats for the bad guys. I just wanted to start that process because there's just more to show. For those of you who've been following along at home, let's make this maximized. Turn up your speakers because there is some audio about to happen up in here. So there's a couple things I did. I still haven't gotten the script working properly, the archery script. It works. I can definitely hit targets, but I know for a fact that I'm using a curve to a magical variable to fix some error in the script. Someone at my day job explained that the process of adding the angle to the direction changes the speed of the arrow. Now that would explain why the arrow overshoots its target the further away I get. However, I don't know what the math is behind that speed change, so I can't use that math to reduce the speed. So instead I'm using my magic curve number, a curve multiplied by a constant float, to lower it. I'm lowering the speed now. So now I'm not changing the angle. I'm changing the speed of the arrow, which is closer to reality. Yeah, but it hits, and not only does it hit, we've got the thing working here where the target gets bigger or smaller. What you're not seeing is the target size is actually now being augmented by the player's accuracy and also the bad guy's speed value. So accuracy, more accuracy will make this less, and I'll go through that in a second before we get deeper into the enemy stats. And you can see what I mean by how it augments it. And that's using lots of stuff from the module, so that's always fun to talk about. And the speed on the bad guy, so that's cool too. And then when we shoot, check this out. There we go. So we got sound effects. Of course, they don't always hit, and these two can't shoot at all, so I'm just going to hit space. And if I just hit space without pointing, it's going to choose the most close one. And you see these little circles popping up. That's the debug where I was testing to make sure they were hitting. So you can see the circles pop up. If I go to this one way over here, you can see that circle pop up. So you can kind of see in advance whether it's going to hit or not. But you can also see that it is most certainly hitting the circles, even if we're missing the goblins. So you can see that. So I have to say, though, the accuracy of my shooting, you can see the circle when we go there. It's pretty wide. I'm going to have to, I think, eventually figure out what the right feeling is, because right now, most of the time, we miss the bad guy. And I think someone in one of the streams mentioned maybe doing a circle instead of a sphere. Right now, I'm choosing a random point inside a sphere. So maybe it would be better to choose a random point inside a circle that's facing the player, because right now most of these hits are gonna miss. Oh, there we go, we got one. Yeah. So, and these ones up here also can get attacked, so you can you need to get closer, so you can try to attack them as well. And the last thing I will show before showing the code is what happens when we get really close to one and we just attack, because from close you do the melee attacks. So now they just keep hitting, but now essentially everyone will hit the bad guy. Now, if they have enough time, they will walk back to the beginning. For audio, I'm using the audio pack from the RPG Character Complete Bundle, linked below. And for the audio for the Goblin, I actually got a pack from the Asset Store, some Goblin vocalizations, and it works pretty well. So there's some randomization going on with that as well. So there you go. Fun shit there, isn't it? I would say so, and I'd agree with you. I'll drink some of this water. I'm back from drinking that water. Yep, the trajectory is flatter, closer. I think the angle math is actually right. It's as that guy pointed out, that I guess it kind of makes sense that by adding the angle, I'm changing the speed at which the arrow goes off or something like that. That type of math is not my thing. All right, so how do I compute that circle? I think I should have like reminded myself. It's an arrow system, and arrow system has all this stuff going on here. Oh yeah, target particle position, blah 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 blah. Target size mod, min size, max size, min size. Ah, here we go. Active players, bow minimum size target on the actor and maximum size target on the actor. So let's check those out. These both are properties that lead to get bow target size with a string and a target actor. So if we look at that, find out what we're doing here. So I'm getting the base value of the key, which is either the minimum or the maximum target size on the bow. And oh, I should zoom in the script. I apologize. Make it hard for you all to read, especially those of you on your phones while watching Sonic the Hedgehog. So if we go into our bow here on the, this uses the items module. Bow, short bow. You can see that I'm using the dictionaries to hold data on min target size and max target size, thinking that, you know, better bows later in the game will have smaller sizes because they're better, inherently more accurate, you know. Yeah, I think, Aaron, I think you're right. I think I may end up doing a circle. Just when playing around, it's quickly you realize, like, okay, this shooting sucks because I'm missing like 95% of the time. So why would I even take the time, you know? So I think doing a circle might be better. I think area is cubed on a sphere, and so there's a much greater chance that you'd miss on any given diameter of a circle or sphere, you know, versus just the squared area. That part of geometry I understand. Yeah, so we got that there, and this is the key: min target size, max target size, and that's why in Writer here I'm in the code I'm bringing that key over so I can get the same thing, because both of these are going to be augmented by the values provided. And the actor is going to be whatever I'm targeting. Could be a good guy, could be a bad guy. We'll see. So I get that base value right here, and then I'm getting my accuracy value, and I'm using the new things here, the get and the properties. So stats get, and this is getting the UID of accuracy, and then the final stat. And then I'm going to my stat table lookup, or lookup table value. Now this is a really interesting thing. I don't talk about this too much in the game modules. Not everyone's going to use this feature. But in my lookup tables, I've got the stat bonus, and it's basically saying, hey, if the stat is 13, return 0. If the stat's between, you know, if it's 21, it'll return 4. If it's 22, 23, 24, anything above 21 but below or equal to 25 will return, return 4. Yeah, so it has to be greater than or equal to 25 or less than the next one. So this is I actually found this. This is how Might and Magic 6, 7, 8 do it, and I found this in one of those Prima guides. Is that what I got the book somewhere here? Where is those books? Well, I have the books somewhere. I'm not even on video, so I can't show you, but I have those books somewhere. I bought them on eBay. 3 of the best purchases I ever bought. They're like the Prima strategy guides, real thick books of those games. It gives you a lot of the details. Now, you can also get it online. There's some details online, but those books give you details that the online stuff doesn't give you. Anyways, so this is the stat lookup table. So what I'm doing in the code here is I'm getting the stat table value for the stat from the stat bonus table. I'm getting the accuracy, so I'm passing my accuracy value, getting that. So if my accuracy is 19, it will return 3. And then it's going to, you know, if there's an actor, if there's no actor, then that's that, and I move on to the next step. But the other thing is the actor, so I get the actor speed value. Same method, going to the target actor stats, Oh, and I'm not actually adding it up here, so I should probably add that up here so that I actually do use the new one. Stats of true, and this for the target for the new owner. There we go. So now we'll add. So here we go. I'm using this on the goblin in this case. Gain their speed, the final stat. And it starts at 11, which returns -1. And then I look up the same thing. Got some notes for myself there. And then the stat table value, the one I got from the player, I'm just going to subtract from that the actor. So if the actor had a value of 4 and my value was 2, then the end result would be -2. So here you can see if my value as 11 is -1 and their value is -1, I'm adding -1 to -1, so we get -1. So no change essentially, or 0 or something like that. Whatever it is. You do the math. I don't want to do the math right now. And I put a debug log out there for myself. I'll eventually remove that. And then finally, we go to the accuracy table value, because these weren't the right numbers for what I wanted. I needed another lookup table. So I created this table last night. We're going to pass these outputs, essentially, or the result of the two outputs, into this table. Once this imports that script change. And then we see the output. So this is going to be the change in the percentage change in the size of that targeting circle, both minimum and maximum. So per chance, well, they're both going to get smaller, so it's still going to be in most cases bigger on the maximum size side. But it does mean that when you get to 20 here, if the input value is 20, it's -1, which means it's going to be dead on. You're definitely going to hit. You're very accurate, no matter how far away you are. The value is going to be 0. But if your value is negative, then it's actually going to get bigger. So it gets progressively bigger. That first little bit's only a little bit bigger, but then it gets, straight line bigger all the way up to double size. And for getting smaller, it starts out just 5% for every stat value here. And then it skips up at the end. No, it doesn't actually. It just goes up 5% all the way through. To get to 20, though, you need to have your stat up at 350, which is like... Oh, really? You like the 3D math problems? Doing 4D chess in a 3D world with a 5D universe? Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Because, maths. Yep. I just didn't like high school. Most of it. I liked parts of it, like talking to girls. Talking to girls. Walking with girls instead of running the mile. Dancing with girls instead of taking wrestling with all the boys. Stuff like that. Anyway, so that's how we get that. So then it's going to augment that. It's going to get this final value through the range target size. And the final target value is going to be that base value plus the base value times this. So if the base value is, say, I don't know, just randomly 5, and we have 5 times -1 is -5, the final target will be 0. And that 0 means that the target size is 0, and you're going to hit that target right dead center. So, yeah. And that works. I did test it, and it does work. It's wonderful. All right, so that's my story. How long did that take? 23 minutes. 24 minutes, maybe. I was quite proud of one the other day where a UI programmer wanted to figure out if a point was inside a triangle. So I showed him barycentric interpolation. Yes, the barycentric interpolation. Hey, do you guys all hear the latest news? The kerfuffle about Unity Answers. Unity barycentric interpolation. This is one of those unknown unknowns things. Oh, look at that. It's actually, look at that. It's got a thing right there. Interesting. That's pretty cool. I have never heard of that, Aaron. And, the barycentric coordinate of the triangle we hit. lets you interpolate any of the 3 vertices along the 3 axes. Wow. Well, I'll have to keep that in mind when I need to find a point inside of a triangle, or to know if a point was inside of a triangle. Yeah. Anyways, I hear that Unity Answers is going away, and I'm pretty sure during these live streams I end up on Unity Answers like every single time. So that's a shame if it really goes away. So what were we doing? Oh yeah, stats on the bad guys. Let's see. I think I'm gonna end up having to refactor all this. If I go to my actor, I mean, there's a whole lot of, I mean, there's these actor nav metrics, all of these things from a while ago that I was doing that I'm gonna end up redoing. Where is my actor? Oh, it is there. It didn't have the toggle next to it, so I didn't even see it. So this is my actor script, and there's a lot here that I think I'm not, like the gold base, gold rules, all of that's gonna go away. That's old. Some of the stuff are new though, like this animation trigger is new, and audio clips, the grunting. This is basically a grunts. Random grunts, and you can see all the clips I got from the asset store package I got. But yeah, if we go into my actor, so I'm basically including player. Player is the same class I use for the main players. So now the actor has stats, conditions, inventory, and loot. So there's a whole lot of methods here that are not implemented from all those interfaces I just added last night. But the actor also has a player class, and this player class has all this stuff. So I did separate this out for the main players. This is really for things like UI and the positioning and all this other stuff. And this is player information, so this is going to be hold things like next time. So it's using the exact same one. I think these are old. Yeah, these are definitely old. Do I need these yet? Can I remove these? Yeah. See, I'm not going to remove... The problem is when I remove old stuff... Yeah, go for a walk. I told you. Walks are good. Walks are good. Do you ever tell your old hound dog that they ain't nothing but a hound dog? Crying all the time? Because that's what I would do if I had an old hound dog. Crying all the time. And then I'd get some shoes and say, don't step on my blue suede shoes. Yeah. Of course, I could only do that if I was living in the ghetto. You know there's an Elvis movie coming out. Segue. Alright, so that's all this stuff. Yeah. That is all this stuff. So, there's a bunch I wanted to do. I wanted to make sure I have all the details of the bad guy or good guy, the actor essentially, listed out here. And there's just a lot going on is all. So I've got these gender, class, and race, and I know I want to include these for all the enemies as well. Like the race for the goblin will be goblin. The class for this one will be fighter, which is not a class that the player can get, but is indeed a class nonetheless. And I have the UIDs here, and that's fine. It's very easy to get those. And I was just thinking, like the other day, I was thinking I could create a property drawer to draw these with a drop-down menu. So instead of selecting the UID, I'd essentially select the name, and it would just populate with the UID. But I think I'm not going to do that. I think, I mean, maybe I will. Maybe I will, but I don't want to do that right now. So I don't think I'll do that right now. So instead, I'm going to make sure I've got these populated, because they come into play when it comes to the stats, and so that's going to be important. They will add and subtract stats from people. So let me see. These are what did I use for this? Item attributes. So I'm using item attributes for these, even though they aren't attributes. So I'm going to start by What do I start with? I'm just going to create a new one. So create game modules, create item attribute, call this goblin. It's a goblin. And in my settings, human name is going to be goblin. Oh, I could have just clicked the use name button. That's nice. I'm going to make this a little bit wider. My inspector things tend to be a certain minimum width. Name order 1. What's name order? The value determines where in the human name the name will appear in relation to the object name. Oh, this is like in reference to objects, like if it's a prefix or suffix. So if this were a goblin sword, for instance, this would go before, and it would be -0 because the name of the object is always 0. But this is not going to be used in that regard. So stats. How do I do the stats on these other ones? Just remind myself. Okay, yeah. So these are like the stats. Everything's vanilla, whatever the basic stat is, unless you've got these. So you can see, like, you know, the human gets 25 hit points max, 20 magic points max, and some extra proficiency, 10% for these things. And the elf has all these. So the elf has an extra proficiency for wisdom and accuracy. That means those stats, if you add 1 to those, you actually add 1.2. And for might and stamina, it's 0.8 for every 1 you add. And then you get some negatives for the weapons and positives for the magic. So everyone has their own stats. So the goblin's going to have some of those too. So we're going to add, say goblins are a little bit stronger, and we'll say goblins are a little bit unfriendly, so we'll add some personality, and maybe, just maybe, even the magical ones of them aren't as smart. And maybe, since they're goblins, they were born unlucky, because, let's be clear, they were born unlucky, but they might have a slight bit of bonus in their stamina, because they are goblins. So we will add a value of 3 to their might, a value of -3 to their personality, and a value -2 to their wisdom, -1 to their luck, and we'll say 3 to their stamina. Now I'm just making numbers up. You can always change these later. That's the point of the game modules, making it easier to change those later. So that's the basic stat modifications we'll do for the goblin. Dictionary stuff. We've got these things. These are already set. Dictionary, the types of dictionaries are set by the type. So all character races have these things. So I don't think we need the flavor text now, but we'll say goblins smell like my old COVID mask. And then we'll add some names. Isn't there a website that has like fantasy name generator? Let me see. Fantasy. Oh, look at that. Ha! It came up as a suggestion. Maybe I've bookmarked this. Fantasy and folklore. Do you see this? FantasyNameGenerators.com. Alright, so goblin, 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 goblin. Look at those names. And apparently they've somehow, some nerd out there said these are male names and these are female names. Why? I don't know. I do not know. But Fadolks. I'm going to copy some of these over, so let me just copy some of these male names. Fadolks, Oggs, good old Oggs. Don't forget about Krat, and Erd. Oh, I remember Erd from high school. And of course, Blurb, Brelb. I can't even pronounce Brelb's name. And these female names. Oh yeah, these are super. Froley. Froley is a female name for sure. Elsa. This is like Elsa, but for goblins. Oh, come on. Let's be family friendly here. Jesus Christ. Freakslux. Man, good thing goblins aren't real. Messing up their names like this would be Jerks. That's a good name. Jerks. What's your name? Jerks? You don't have to be mean about it. I was just asking your name. Wrong. Alright. Starting skills. I wonder how I use that. I think I use starting skills actually in the character's creation scene. I'm actually surprised that they're pre-populated. I'm not sure why that's happening. It probably shouldn't be, but that's okay. I'll delete them. Hey, how come I can't... Oh, you can't delete the last one, but you can make it empty. All right, so we've got some names. That I don't know if that'll ever come into play. Erd is earth in Germanic languages. Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, I agree, Aaron. A lot of them were not my favorite. Hi, Oliver. How are you? It's going well over here. Just making games and stuff, you know, usual Friday night stuff. No, I'm never getting married. Instead, I'm making games. Busy. Too busy for that. And so, okay, so that's our goblin. And then I wanted to create fighter for the, you know, there's no fighter here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the knight, and because it's probably very similar to the, I figure knight and fighter might be very similar. So I'm going to copy the knight. I've got to do a couple things. So I'm going to name it fighter here, and then I'm going to create a new UID. UIDs have to be the same, or it can't be the same. So I create a new UID for this one, not for the fighter, just in case I'm, or not for the knight rather, in case I'm already using it. So now I'm a fighter. We don't need any of these starting skills. We're not doing goblins for our character creation, although I mean, how quick poll for those watching, say in the chat, should I include goblins as one of the playable characters? Is that a thing? The problem right now is my armor doesn't fit the goblins in the Infinity PBR armor pack, so it makes it very difficult. I can't actually do that yet, but once we get that happening, which is something I would like to do, should goblins be a pickable playable character? Let me know in the comments. I don't know how you guys, you know, Oliver, you're not the only one who says that they're coding while listening to me code. I don't know how you can do it. I couldn't do it. I can barely code listening to myself code. Disposition. Goblins are neutral. You'd think that they were evil, but they're not. They're just neutral. It's actually the disposition for this game is based on the class, not the race. So a fighter is just going to be neutral. They're just fighting, you know. Well, good. Congratulations on having a fiance. I hope you have a wonderful wedding, and it's a perfect day, and that the Disney person didn't take your ring away when you proposed. Can use magic. No, the fighter can't use magic. Okay. Stats. Magic points max. -10 doesn't really matter. Magic points source. Why is that here? I don't know. Magic points source. Oh, I think so. I do some yeah, so I did some fancy math stuff for magic points. The way to compute magic points. Since the druid and scout in that class line is going to get their magic points, the maximum magic points derived from their personality and wisdom combined, similar to Might and Magic games, where you know the wisdom for the wisdom creates magic points for the wizards, etc. For the clerics, etc. It's personality. For the druids, that line, it's a combination of the two. So to do that, we actually go for magic point source, where for the wizard ones, and for the clerics, the personality, the wizard, the intelligence or wisdom rather, will affect magic point source, and then in turn, magic point source affects maximum magic points. And for the druids, both of them affect magic point source, but to half the value, etc. So that's how we accomplish that. Okay, so for the fighter in general, now this is going to keep in mind any race could technically be a fighter, so we could have a spider fighter, I suppose, and that's what this affects here. So they're going to get a little extra this, a little extra might, less meditation, we'll say -0.7. I think fighters are going to be like worse than knights, so no magic. So we'll go 0.1 for the might and negative 0.2 for the personality. Yeah, and that's that. We'll just keep it pretty simple. And what's this? Hit points max. Oh yeah. So this is saying they get 4 hit points to their maximum per level. Final stat of level. So if they're level 10, they'd have an extra 40 hit points simply because they are a fighter. So we'll make this 3 because they need to be worse than the knight. Alright, there you go. So here we are. Now we have our goblin fighter. And now I want to figure out how to get these stats in there. So we already found with the new addition to the... Hey, Jay from New Jersey. And Tech Dave. Cheddar popcorn. I think... I don't know. I feel like goblins might not like sweet stuff at all. I have no idea what goblins would like. Alright, so what I'm thinking is with the get thing, it's great to get stats. So if I don't add a specific stat, then, you know, there's that. But I feel like I do want to have some script that kind of allows me to choose stats and their values, their base starting values. Those values will then be augmented by the race and class, of course. Oh, and there was a dude on the Discord who was doing something similar to this. He was taking the game modules and he created some new inspector scripts that essentially let him visualize the final values of objects with various attributes on them. That was a pretty cool add-on that he was doing. So this is kind of similar to what I'm thinking, because I've got the actor here, and it'd probably be a new script, and it would be like actor base stats or actor starting stats or something like that. Probably something like that. Create script. Let's start with that. We'll just try that, and we can always change it later. Actor starting or start stats. Starting stats. Yeah, we'll say starting stats. And see, this is where it would come in handy to have a drop-down list instead of the UIDs. So I can see what I've already added, because the UIDs aren't human readable. They're not supposed to change, which is fancy and nice, but they're not human readable. And let me close this. There's this ad over here, video that keeps distracting me. Sure. Should I try to do that right now? You know, it's one of those things I just don't want to, is the thing. But I feel like I should, because really I think here I'm going to do a public class actor starting stat, and this is just going to have a public string UID. That's going to be the UID of the stat. Why is this underlined? Because it's never used? Oh, because it doesn't... Oh, okay. I do mine, unless it's a property, I do mine lowercase without the underscore for public ones. And what else is it going to have? It's going to have public, we'll say float, I guess, min, and public float max, because I'm thinking UID of the stat and minimum possible stat on I'm forgetting my words again. It's been a long week. I haven't gotten enough sleep this week. Well, I've forgotten my words. Instantiation. Jesus. Alright, and then maximum possible stat value. It's really value. And it's really base point value, because the actual value will be higher. Yeah, I think that's all it really needs to be. And so what we're going to have here is a public list. I should not forget to do the all-important system serializable system dot serializable, because I always forget that. Not always, I didn't do it this time, but I oftentimes forget that. So public list of actor starting stat, and we'll call this starting stats equals new list. I also forget to do this a lot. When I was doing the property code last night, I was like, why isn't it working? And then I realized I hadn't added this, and that's why it wasn't working. I'm so glad I didn't call it a night. So, alright, so this should just give us a list of starring stats, and we can just create a whole bunch, and we can add the UIDs, which is great, but the UIDs won't show us the name of them. Total War Attila. I played Civilization 6 twice this week. Both times was at like 11:30 at night, and both times I should have just gone to bed instead. I need some water. It's a hot day, and I'm out of it. I'll be right back. Back. Oh, capturing Rome, huh? Alright. Corey, I didn't completely iron it out, but I didn't not do anything either. It works. And I know exactly, I'm pretty sure I know exactly where I'd go wrong, but my little hack fix works, and I don't know how to fix with math the thing that I know is going wrong. So it works. In the end, it works, and it should work in all cases, so I guess it's okay. Alright, so let me just see. Does this look right? Did this work if I add it to my goblin fighter female? I should do the one up here without the number on it, maybe. Oops. Alright. Goblin fighter female. And so now I will add this component actor starting stats. What do we see? Starting stats. So now we have all these starting stats. That's great. But when I add one, oh, stupid Unity bug. Second one, that's the Unity bug, not mine. Just so everybody knows. Whew, very sensitive about that. I would like to see a drop-down list instead of a UID. How do I do that? It's a property drawer. I'm not as fluent in this. I know I can do it. I'm not as fluent, though, in it as I'd like to be. You know what I could do? Actually. Because this comes into play on instantiation, which means that it will be created from prefab. I'm not going to be doing object pooling. And even if it was, then... hello, Brandon. How are you? Oh, yeah. Sorry, Oliver. Yes, I forget to do that. I did it on some of them, but I forget to do that. And so thank you for reminding me. I did it on player. There we go. So thank you for reminding me. You're going to have to keep doing that. So I think instead what we can do is public stat and I need to include the missing things up here. Game modules, and instead of string UID, what I can do is public string capital UID, and that's going to be stat.uid. So this will be the stat, and that's a little obvious, but that's okay. So now I don't have to get too fancy. No need to get fancy when you don't need to be fancy. I think this will work even better. So now I can just choose the stat from there. We go. That's so much easier. All right. So what stats do they need? They need might. It would be neat though if element 0 was named that. How can I get that? That's the name. Public name. Public string name. And name of the stat. I guess I need to. What's the method? The on whatever, on validation. Yeah, is that something I can do? We're gonna do if Unity editor, and then if and then public or private void on validation. Can we do that here? Is that something? It's never used. Validation. No, that's not right. No. What would it be for this kind of system to get name to be stat.name, and then if stat equals null, return. I don't know what it would be. Maybe one of you will know. Maybe let's see. Can you put on validation up here? No. No, that I guess not. Okay. Well, maybe. There's gotta be a way. There's gotta be a way. What is it? What is it? I know this. I know this. I know this. It's something. Let me search. Let's see. On validation for class in editors in inspector upon assigning a object or something. Unity. Assign custom class. Complex objects. No. Assign a game object. No, I know how to do that. Show classes. No. Alright, well, it's probably not that important. It's nice. It would be nice. I make a read-only attribute and make a property name with the new keyword. Can you explain that? No need to explain if you're still on your walk. That's hard to type on a small keyboard. Click read only. What's read only? I've never used read only. String name test. Private read only string name test. And yeah, I just want the name might to be up here, so when I'm looking at the list, I can see it in the list. It's really not important at all. It's not at all important. I mean, yeah. So essentially, I want this to be name and then make this stat.name. That's all. That's all I want it to be. I'm gonna delete this because this is not important. This is just, it's just not important at all. Yeah, so that's not gonna happen. That's okay. So what other stat do I need for the goblin fighter? I feel like I'm gonna need a whole bunch more. So let's see. I need might, I need stamina, I need personality. I need the basics. There's like 7 basic stats. Wisdom. Whoops. Accuracy. And if I move element 1 up, and we'll make this one speed. See, I just need a property drawer drawer to list out that with the min maxes, and I could make it. I mean, I could do a whole custom inspector for this, but I don't want to, so I'm not going to. Read only. Oh, there's a whole class called read only attribute. Huh. It's okay. You can send it to me if you want. I'll check it out for sure. But I think for this, I'm just being a little picky with my desire to have it listed there. It's really just not a huge thing. Luck and that's gonna be it. I think I'm gonna make I should have just made these, you know, equals 11F and 11F just to make them start at 11. 11's kind of like the baseline level. So essentially what I'm looking to do here is that each bad guy will start out with a stat between some min-max version value. So essentially for all of these, I think I'm just going to do kind of 10 to 12. Probably do whole numbers. And so they'll almost always end up at 11, or close to 11. If we round, then it'll be half the time 11 and 50% of the time 10 and 12. Yeah, and I don't think I'm gonna worry about the resistances. If they get attacked by something with fire, their resistance will be 11. Unless they've had something already attached on them that augments it, but it will be 11, and I won't need that until I call it, and I think it's just always going to be 11. Now there might be a different character that has a default high resistance to fire, for instance, and therefore I'd add that fire resistance here and put up the min and max really high, so that essentially I'm going to say when I instantiate it, I'm going to add these stats. The get method that adds stats will be used for anything where they don't have a specific value. Yeah. So I'm also going to add a private bool has been added. So we're going to keep track of whether we've been added or not, just to make sure we don't keep doing it. Although, I guess it doesn't really matter because these are going to be distinct, so if it already has it in the list, then it will just ignore it. But I'll keep the bool anyways. And then we're going to do private void awake. Awake or start? Awake happens first. I think we'll do start. We'll try start. And we'll say on start, add stats. Boom. Easy enough. That's pretty self-explanatory. This adds stats. And we're going to say if has been added, then we'll return. Otherwise, we'll say we've got nothing in common. Actor equals get component actor a actor. Oh, actor. There we go. Got those backwards. And we're going to say for each var stat in starting stats, actor.add.stats.add. What do we need? UID, the owner, and whether it's distinct, which is true by default. So we're going to add in the stat UID and the actor as the new owner. And then we're going to say stats dot, and we'll and then var new stat equals that. And then new stat dot set points. I'm glad I built these methods for myself. Will be a new value. Use proficiency modifier. Well, no, we're not going to do that for this. We just want the straight points. So I'm going to say random.range. And you know what? I'm going to make these ints. And we'll just make them ints. Random range, stat min, and to stat max, false for the proficiency modifier. So that's going to just create a new stat and set the points to the min max value. And then at the very end of this, we're going to say has been added equals true. All right, so we've been added. And let me just make myself a note here. Oops. This will add the stats to the actor if they have not already been added, and we'll set the points to be a random value between min and max for each. Now, this random range, though, means that max will never actually be the max, right? If I remember my random range logic, max will never actually be hit, so I'm going to say max plus 1, because I don't want to have to worry about keeping that in mind here. So whatever I write here will be the min-max. Does that look about right? I think that looks about right. Make that there, and that should be good. Yeah. 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12. And for accuracy, just for now, I'm going to make this 1 and 25 because I want to see the effect of this randomization in practice when we... not actually, speed is actually 1 to 25. Because if we remember from earlier in the stream, the speed of the target is going to affect the target sphere, the circle, when we try to shoot at them. And so my thinking is, when at awake, this will be set. These will all get these stats, and then they'll be set there. And so we should see a different size circle for each bad guy. So overrides, apply all, and press play. Let's see what happens. Thanks for the code snippets. I'll check it out later tonight. Alright. Ooh, I'm still in big mode. Okay, well I want to change that because there might be some debug logs I want to read. Play focused. Alright. So let's look. Let's see. Boom, boom. Oh, look at that. Now it is further away, but let's see. Okay, so I'm have my debug logs down here. So actor target has stat value of 0. So wait, that's not right. Stat value of 0. Subtracted -6 from the player. So the target size went from a base of 0.8 to 0.6 to the action table of -2.5. It's at table 5. Well, so what we're seeing here is that our value is still 0. And that is because I didn't compute the final value. So I changed the points, but I didn't compute the final value. I would have... oh, set points I don't think does that, does it? Let me see. Yeah, it doesn't. That's just saying the points, and yeah, it just sets points. I need to add comments to all these, but that's okay. Another time. Where was I? Actor starting stats. So what we can then say is at the end of all this, say actor dot stats dot set dirty. And we'll set them all dirty. I think this should set them all dirty. If UID then is not null, then it'll do just that UID. Otherwise, it will do all of them. All right, and then once they're set dirty, they should automatically. Oh, yeah, they should automatically recompute. If I set things up properly, and I think I did. Oh, you know what, though? I'm not looking to add it to actor stats. I need to add it to actor.player stats. Or what I should do instead, or what I can do, not should, I don't know if I should or not, I think it's fine, is I can do public game stats list, stat list. When I was doing my update, I somehow had both game stat list and game stats list with a plural ns in this project. It really threw me for a loop because I've been slowly updating the game modules, and so all my game module scripts are all over the place. Somehow I had 2 of them. Anyways, so this is going to return the player.stats. Whoa, what just happened? That's not what I wanted. Player.stats. Player.stats. Oh. Yeah. Why is it? Oh, no name. Stats. And it should be a property. And I don't need this here because it's going to be on the player class. So that may have thrown a whole bunch of errors out there, in which case I'll fix them. Because it's the player class that's going to have that, and it's going to have skills too. So player skills. Those are already on the player class, so that makes that easier. So actor stats.setDirty. So that will be that. And where's the errors here? So try get game stat for the actor is going to be stats list and skills list. All right, and where's the error here? Is there an error here? It's underlined red. I don't see any red over here. Let's look in the console. Here we go. So it's here. Stats, just make that the property one. That is good. Okay, so now it'll set them dirty, and I believe player class is already set up to automatically recompute all the stuff every frame if they're set dirty. Let's find out in our debug logs. Nope. Let's see. Why are they not being set dirty or working properly? Actor stats set dirty. This just makes them all dirty. And then in my player, I make sure I'm actually calling the right stuff here. It's possible that I'm not calling tick. I call tick on player.tick, game.tick. Ah, that is why. So on my actor class at update, I learned the word tick from Jason Wyman. I used to sit and watch his videos on YouTube, and I kept seeing this tick, and I was like, what the heck is this tick that he keeps mentioning? And then I realized, oh, it's just update for things that don't have update for non-mono behaviors. Update. So for this, we're going to do player.tick. We'll also do player.lateTick. I don't think we use it, but player.tick calls all these, and that is how they do the auto computation. Without that tick, it doesn't get auto computed. Those are my knuckles. They crack. Alright. Press play there. And now it will work. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Hands down. Put your money... Oh, okay, never mind. Never mind, everybody. Just calm down. Something's not working. Oh, late... What is this? Oh. Well, I mean, that's not really an error. It's kind of an error message, not an error itself. Is there a difference in the end between an error and an error message? I think so. I would say so. I'd back that up. All right. Aha! Value of 9, so it's subtracted 2 from the player. Value of 10, so it's subtracted 2. Value of 7, so it's subtracted 3 from the player. So that means the target's smaller than it would have been otherwise. 13, so it's subtracted 30. This one had 22, so it's subtracted 4, which means to add 4, which means that's why this circle is so much bigger than this one, and so much bigger than these ones, which are actually reducing it. So this character has more speed, so it's going to be harder to hit. So rather than having it hit the character and then I say, oh, sorry, you missed, even, I prefer this method of saying, well, you missed because you just didn't hit it, and it's visually obvious that you missed, or in this case, oh, I thought I was going to hit, or hit. And then if the character had really low speed, then you have a much greater chance of hitting, or if you had a really high accuracy to counteract that low speed of the bad guy. Alright, so those work, and so now that I set up that tick properly, all of these stats for the actor will automatically compute. And I didn't add, though. I need to add this. I need to add this for the actor starting stats. I need to add 2 more things, actually. Class and race. So we're going to say public item, item attribute, character class, and public item attribute character race. Should this be something that's randomized? No. I'm going to randomize, like, when a bad guy is instantiated, there might be the chance that there's like a pool of 3 or 4 bad guys that it could be different classes or races or whatever. And that's where the race and class get randomized. But for this view, this is the goblin fighter. I don't care if it's male or female. That doesn't come into play. It comes into play with the mesh, but doesn't do any of the stats. So Class is going to be fighter, and the race is going to be goblin. All right, and then we'll assign those. So on the player, they've got these two things somewhere: character race and character class. I guess we have gender too. I need to add like a non-gendered thing or unknown. Like if it's a spider, you just don't know if it's male or female or non-gendered or something. But I think for the enemies, I think I made the decision to not even point out whether they're male or female in the view, like when you inspect them inside the game, so that I don't even have to worry about that. It doesn't affect the end result of the game, and you know, if you think they're male or female, that's, you can think whatever you want, and maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. All right, so then on the add stats, I'm gonna just separate these out then, and we're gonna add stats, but we're also going to add character details, because this is actually where we get into like skin tone and hairstyles, and there's a chance that I'm going to add more to this, especially when we get to humanoid stuff. Maybe I'll create an override for this though, for those, so it'd be like add starring stats human, which would have skin tone and hair things and whatever, but for now we'll just do this. In fact, I'm going to plan on doing that, so virtual, plan on this being overridden. I guess public virtual then. And then we're going to say... So I'm going to update this. I'm going to also have private actor, and we're going to say... Okay, we're going to start doing these. Header, required, and then privates, and then properties, and this we're going to be actor, public actor is going to be get actor, and get actor, private, get actor is going to, if actor is not equal to null, then return actor, and we're returning an actor. Alright, otherwise it's going to say actor equals, and we have it down here, get component actor, so actor equals get component actor and return actor. So now down here we'll just say actor and blah blah blah. So that should work, right? Yep, that should work there. And then for our add character details, we'll say actor dot player dot set character class. Ah, there we go. Good. I had these written out. New UID is going to be, what did I call it? Oh yeah, character class dot UID, and we're gonna duplicate that. Set character race and character race UID. Race UID. All right, so it's gonna set those two. And it's going to do that before it does the set dirty. Now, set dirty will affect the next frame when it recomputes, so it doesn't really matter that it does it before, but we're going to do that. And I'm going to make myself a note here as well. Sets the race set class for humanoids in the future or others with more options. Create a new override of this to add those options. And that should be good for that. We'll be able to see this if it works, I believe, because we'll have these UIDs populated there. So I'm just going to press play. I haven't been paying attention to the chat. I forgot. I'm sorry. Nice. All right. Did it work? It did. There they are. Okay, so they're there. And the way the math works, how that gets brought into class, on the player class, I'll just briefly explain. This is part of the game modules for the stats and how it. So it's going to be this get other levels, and where is it? There we go. And anything that has stats, I have stats, has to have this get other levels, and this is where you just add where all your other levels are coming from. Character class and character race have modification levels. That's where we add those modifications earlier. That's essentially what it was doing, and this just makes a list of all the different other levels and passes that to the stat system so that they get taken into account. And so, as you can see, we're including the modifications from these. Gender won't have any. I just included it here just because, but it doesn't actually have any change. No effect at all. That's not going to change. And then we have our equipment. So if the character has any equipment, that's something we're going to have to add here. And then any equipment spot. What's the difference here between the two? Equipment spots is going to be on the player equipment. That's where you literally drag and drop those into the equipment spots. And then equipment list, I think, is just for things like the enemies where they just have equipment. There's no spot. I guess there could be spots for some of them, but I think that's what the difference is between these two. And then the game condition. So if there's any conditions, that will be added here as well. So yeah. All right. So that should be good. I do want to make sure I revert this whole speed thing and make that 10 to 12 as well. Okay. 10 to 12, and then we will override this. I do need, though, to add the equipment. So they've got this goblin sword here, and I don't think I have this item object added yet, so let's just go ahead and add that and just go through the motions, see if it works. Yeah, I don't. So I'm going to create game module, create item object. We'll do goblin sword, or maybe we'll do what's the name of this sword? Whoops, goblin sword. I can rename it later. Whoops. Sword. What's the name of this sword right here? Is it a tooth sword? What is that? I don't even know. I'm not creative in that regard. Like, I'm not good at naming swords. Why am I getting no reference? What's going on? This shouldn't happen. New key value, item objects 0. This is on the item object editor. Matching the dictionary. So this is where it's supposed to match the dictionary of other objects. So short sword has dictionaries with this stuff right here. And it's supposed to match those because I just created a new sword and it has to match that. So why is it throwing an error? Okay, so we get item objects of this type is going to be item object length -1. Not sure why I do -1. There's probably a reason. Key values, item objects except where it's this object. Oh, I see. I'm removing this object from that list. Select the dictionary's key values. So it's basically selecting all the key values from all the dictionaries on any sword. Item objects where this x equals this object. Key value. So I guess I'm doing it on all item objects. Shouldn't it be of this type? Item objects of this type. Oh well, I guess item objects is only doing it of this type. Item objects equals item array of type. Yeah. Okay. So let me just do a debug log here. Debug.log. I bet when I save it, it's going to start working. There are objects, including this new one. All right. I bet the act of saving it will unstuck whatever it is. Bone saw. Oh, that's cool. Wow, Aaron, you are creating lore in this in the process of this. Oh, good. It didn't. I mean, I don't know if that's good or not, but it didn't fix itself. There are. Oh, whoops. Dot length. There should be 2, including this one. I just want to make sure it's seen short sword. There are 2. Okay. Well, we're getting somewhere. Okay, there are 2 of this type, and so key values. It's a string. Let's see. Debug.log, and we found. Oops. Dot length key values. All right, and then for each key value, if it's not null or white space, then count item objects of type that has key value. So basically it's saying count the number of them that have this key value, and if it's not equal to the number we have up here, then to continue. So if there's an item that has its own special key value, it's not going to be copied to them. Only the ones that have where all of them have the key value will it be included. So it could be that get key value is not working. One of these 3 is coming up in null of reference. So we're going to do debug.log attempting, forgot the $sign here, key value. I'm trying to trigger a null reference here, and we'll do on item that, and we'll see if either of those trigger the null reference exception. You should be a fantasy lore builder. There's people who do that. I think they will build out the lore of your story for you, and I don't know how much they get paid, but you can imagine that it could be an interesting gig for if you like that stuff. Attempting player equipment spot on Goblin Sword. Okay. So, wait a minute. Oh. Oh, interesting. That is a bug. That is a bug indeed. I need to... Goblin Sword should not be here. Why is... Oh. Oh. Okay. Okay. I just said oh a lot. But now we just need to add this if... wait, right? Wait a minute. Maybe not oh. We found the key values. 4 key values. New key value. Item objects. Why is it item object 0? Oh, okay. Okay. It can't be item object 0. It's going to be var first object that is not this equals item objects dot first where x does not equal where's this? I have this, right? This object. This object. Does that work? And then it has to be the first one that's not this. Yeah. Okay, so I see in this, and this is why it wasn't always happening during my other debugging. For some reason, Goblin Sword is now in index 0 of that list. I wouldn't have expected it to, but it is in index 0, and I was hard-coded to index 0. Magically works. So, this is, of course, a game module thing. So, because I don't want to forget what I just did, I need to copy it over to the game modules and update the page itself on the asset store, so that later I can update it and the notes will be there and all that stuff, because I will forget. Game modules. Yum. It's a Red Robin ad for those of you. I don't know, is Red Robin all over the country? For those of you in the US and probably Canada, I feel like it might be. You know, I worked at a Red Robin once. It was not a good place to work. Create new draft. And there's the publisher portal here. Release notes. We're going to do 3.3.2. 3.32. Where this is in stats. Is it stats? Which module is it? Item object. Items. Fixed bug in match dictionary method where it may accidentally call the new item object and throw an error, a null reference exception. Alright, so we're fixing that bug. Save that. Close this. Then go to my other project. Load up the... what script is it again? I just saw it. Item object editor. Down here. Item object editor. And we will copy and paste as appropriate this entire method once I can. What? Come on, let me do it. Oh, and I forgot to zoom in again. I'm so sorry this whole time. It's way at the bottom. Paste that in there. I don't know what's going on there. Zoom that, save that. We'll update that package later. For now, we should be good. We're not getting that error anymore. Wonderful. So now we have a goblin sword. What in the short sword? What do we have on item attributes? Oh yeah, where are the attributes available? Prefixes and suffixes. These are what's available. Those are not going to be available to this. So this basically says, hey, whenever if I, like in the loot box module, if I randomly create goblin sword and it happens to be something that's going to have a prefix or a suffix, these suffixes are not available to the goblin sword. So there will never be a goblin sword of cunning or of healing touch, for instance. Stats, I believe I just need the damage and whatnot. Let me just Oh, no stats are being modified by this object. Why not? They should be. Maybe I just haven't set up stats for these yet. Um, it could be that I've never set up the stats for these objects. That's probably what's going on here. Alright, so let me do that now. So we're going to do the damage and the attack. And it's actually going to be attack then damage, so I'm going to do it in the right order. Attack then damage. And then bonus. I mean, melee bonus will be 0 for this one, so I guess I don't need to do that. So attack for this, I don't know. What's a decent attack for a goblin sword? Probably 2d2, 2d3, 2d2. Yeah. So basically it means when this gets equipped, then attack and damage will be modified by those base values. Now, we didn't actually add attack and damage to the character, but that's okay, because when we go to call them, it should be added automatically from that point on. So there you go. Loot items. What's loot items? See which loot items contain this item object and remove this from them, or add this to other loot items. You can also add item objects to loot items by visiting the objects themselves. Well, this is the objects themselves, but that's okay. Oh, probably the loot item, the loot box items. Okay. Inventory. Guess I should set this up now because maybe I'll do a thing where you might sometimes be able to get the sword and you can equip that sword. So yeah, so let's set up the inventory for this as well. So I'm going to just duplicate the short sword ones and then update it. And what was the bone something? That was a good name. Can I steal that? You're not going to sue me, right? If I... Where is it? I'm looking back. Bone saw. Okay. So we're going to call this bone saw inventory. I'm going to have to change so I don't forget the name of the sword up here too, to bone saw. I guess all one word is cooler than 2 words. I don't know. Prefabs, inventory, weapons, bone saw. So bone saw inventory, and then in-game prefab is going to be a bone saw. I'm just going to duplicate this bone saw, and oh, I didn't make it a child of the. I should have done that. It's best. I just was telling someone best practice today is always make the mesh a child of a parent object, so you don't run into this exact issue that we're doing now. But that's okay. Let me find that sword. Goblin sword. It's actually just called sword something. There's a goblin. Oh, and you got a goblin sword. Alright, we'll bring the goblin sword over there. I guess it's good that I have that there as reference because I'm going to have to reposition the goblin sword somehow. That look about right. Oh, look at that. Oh, too much. Good enough for movies. And then I fix it a little bit more. Alright, that looks about right. So the goblin sword, looking at, will be the same spot, because this looks to be about the same size as that other sword. So the look at position can stay the same. Bone saw is, however, item data, blah, blah, blah. Alright, that's good. We'll remove this stuff. Anything I need to keep? Item world collider. Okay. Oh, this is going to be on the thing with the mesh collider. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to delete these yet because I need to remember what the hell I'm doing here. It's been a bit. So I need a detail target added to this. Close that down. Component as new. We've got look at here. Look from, that's blank. Height 1.4 is probably good. This is for when I right click on it in the world and the little window comes up zooming in on it so you can kind of see all the details about it. It's not working right now, but it uses this. And I also need to add a mesh renderer, or collider rather. And this mesh collider is going to goblin sword. Sword. Why isn't it? Oh, it's called sword 2. Yeah, because it's actually not the goblin sword, it's sword 2. Alright. And convex? Yes, convex. So this way it kind of slides around the world or rolls around the world just a little bit. What else do I need? I need the item world collider. Copy component. And it's going to be layer item as well. Component, no, paste component as new. And this is going to have the parent will be the parent. There is hover, that's fine, that's set during runtime. And then item world, copy component, and item world, paste component as new. Is this the world one? I don't even know now. I think it's just must be nothing. Okay. So remove that from here, remove that from here, remove this from here. Oh, I need a rigid body too. Okay. Copy component. And oh shoot. So look at should stay as a child of that. Okay, that's fine. Post component is new. A rigid body. And okay. Remove that from here. Remove the mesh collider. Remove the sword mesh and the renderer. So we still have the item target. I think this should be here too. I don't know for sure. I can't really remember right now off the top of my head exactly how that works, but I think it should just be there. So now the parent is empty. Position 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Clean those out. This position is now. Well, I don't even know. I'm just gonna leave it as that. Maybe it needs to change. I don't even know if it needs to change, but that's that. Okay, so this should be okay, I think. Okay, we'll save that. What was that? That was the items inventory. Okay. Hey, wait a minute. What did I just edit? I edit the wrong one. No. Didn't I just... Oh, okay. I did this one. Huh. I must have copied both of these. I don't remember copying both of these. But I must have. Okay. Let's open this one. This is the one for the inventory module. And that's why it's definitely different. But this one is set more properly. In-game prefab is going to be the bone saw. And then this is the mesh itself. So goblin sword. So I'm going to bring that prefab in here. And we're going to copy. It's a rect transform too, by the way. Paste component is new. I would have expected to replace this. Oh, it didn't even work. Okay, rect transform. Okay, unpack this. Unpack. Where's unpack? Prefab. Oh, that's changed. Unpack. Now add a rect transform. That should... Okay, good. It replaced that. So I'm going to copy this component. Oh my gosh, they changed things on me. Paste component values. All right, so that gave us that there. I'm not sure the bounds are really high, but that's probably not an issue. Top left, if I turn that on, it's supposed to be in the top left area. That's good. Since these are the same size, it makes it a lot easier to set it up, honestly. So I'm going to bring this top left underneath that. And I need to copy this component and paste this component as new. So we have our top left, all that stuff. The height and the width can stay the same because we know they're the same. And then this can be deleted. This other top left is there for, on the prefab, is for the sake of making it easier to set things up. Save that. Okay, so now we've got our 2 prefabs that we need. So if we go back to our item object, since we are using that, bone saw, inventory, we will add these. So bone saw, inventory, prefab, and bone saw. Non-inventory prefab. Height was 5 and width was 1. Anything on the dictionaries? Player, equipment spot, right hand. Cost. How much does this cost? Probably a whopping 90 gold. Skill required is sword. How many bones has this sword cut? Sod. Only blood. Only the blood can tell. All right, that's something. See, I need to eventually hire a writer to do all this stuff. All right, so that was a boring part. I hope that wasn't too boring. But that means technically now this sword will show up in the inventory and can act as an inventory object. Work with the drag and drop inventory. You could be equipped by the players. So if I make it so that when this goblin dies, you can loot it and pick up its sword. Stuff like that. Technically, it also has a shield in its left hand. I think I'm going to handle stuff like that later because not all of the goblins will have a shield. And then the armor, it's not interchangeable, so you can't wear its armor, which is fine. It probably is a different body size. Anyways, but yes, for the fighter here, there would probably be a shield as well that, there's a chance that they'd be broken and not used, but every once in a while, maybe you can pick it up. I don't want it to be like Skyrim, though, where you can pick up tons of objects and there's like hundreds and hundreds of swords for some reason. So instead, there's a good chance that you won't be able to get these from the bad guy, which I know seems counterintuitive, but there's going to be gold that you get from snakes. So I don't know how snakes carry gold, but they do, I guess. All right, where were we? So we were back at the item objects for the sword, bone saw. This is all set up now, and didn't I did adjust this, didn't I? Didn't I, though? I'm pretty sure I did. Maybe I, do I have a bug? Because I did. Okay. I'm saving it now. And now I'm going to force this to reload stuff by saving this and see if that affects this. It shouldn't disappear, but maybe it will. Nope, not this time. But this time I did save. Maybe I just hadn't saved before. So, and then something reload, and then, yeah. So Aaron, you're basically, I'm reading the chat now, you're basically like another, I'm forgetting my words tonight. It's been a long week. Did I mention that earlier? I'm pretty sure. You're another JRR token. Yeah. Well, I'll be sure to hire you when it's time to do the lore, because I do want a lot of lore in this game. But I'm gonna need, I think once I start getting to the point where I have a, excuse me, super early access and Patreon and stuff like that, I think I will open it to supporters who want to add stuff and suggest lore and other things, and I'll kind of veto things and let people just name stuff and all that stuff. All right, so we have our bone saw. We have that. The whole point of this was to go back to here and add the weapons and armor. And this doesn't make any sense anymore. This starring stats, it's not actually starring stats. So we're going to say actor starting stats, starting settings, start settings. Or maybe just actor settings. Actor settings it is. Oh, Tolkien's your role model. I guess it makes sense. Actor settings. I noticed. I don't know. I in the movie, the Lord of the Rings movies, there's a lot of singing. I've never read the books, but I listened to the first audiobook and a little bit of the second one, read by Andy Serkis. And there's a lot of singing in that book. Like a lot of singing. And I was wondering, these days you go to the bar and sometimes people sing, but it's not normal. But I wonder if back in the day, every time you'd go to a pub in the 30s and 20s, if there was just singing was common, because they didn't have radio, they didn't have TV. So I wonder if that was just really super common. I think it is in movies and stuff from back then. So maybe that was really the thing, that you'd go to the pub and people would just start singing. And so that was in Lord of the Rings. There's a lot of singing and walking, but singing too. Anyways, this is going to be actor settings. And so now we're going to do equipment. So public list, and this is going to be item object. Oh, you know what we need to do? We need a class for this, because some of these item objects might need to have an attribute or 2 or 10 added to them already. So we're going to do public class actor starting item object. And this is going to be system serializable as well. And what are we going to have here? Public stat item object. This is the object, and then public list of item attribute. Item attributes. This is supposed to be lowercase. Alright, there we go. All the attributes, if any. And let's do a method here too. We'll do public game item object is going to be game item object. And for this, we are going to create so we're going to say var new object is going to be equal to new game item object. What do we have here? And we're going to pass in the item object, and oh, the new owner thing matters. We can use set owner later. Or how about this? Okay. Object, item object, and I have stats, new owner, and so we'll pass so item object data, since it hides that variable. Item object data and new owner. So that's the new object, and then for each, do we have an add attributes method that just adds them all and takes it in a list? Let's find out. New object.add attribute. It's a singular. All right, so we're going to go to for each var attribute in item attributes, new object.add attribute, and it's going to be the attribute.uid, and then distinct is true already. Recompute human name is true. That's fine. So for each one, add the attribute, and then return new object. So essentially, this is going to create a new object, add all the attributes from our list, if any, and then return that new object. And then in our start, we will say add equipment, and we'll create a new method there. So, and we need to actually public list of actor starting objects, starting equipment, new list to starting stuff. And for each one of these, equipment in starting equipment, we're going to go to actor.inventory or equipment. We don't have either of those. Oh, actor.player, player.equipment equals or .add. We're going to pass in a game item object. So there's, if I pass in just a UID, then it's going to pass a vanilla. Oh, yes. Good thing I read this. I need to use transfer. Add will do a vanilla version. Transfer will transfer a complete version with all the attributes, etc. And here I can set the new owner as well. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to pass in the equipment. Yeah, equipment. Dot game item attribute or game object. And so I don't need to have new owner here. Whoops. And this didn't work. I couldn't just do that. I guess not. Oh, no. Oh, okay, good. So I don't even need to pass that in. And this has to be capitalized. Okay. There we go. So get the game item object. And with that, we're going to do new owner is that, and distinct for equipment, distinct is true. There's only one equipment. I mean, I guess it could be that there's two swords. Yeah, they might have two swords. So you know what? False is fine. Okay. So transfer the game item object that's fully populated with the attributes to the actor and set the actor as the owner. Typo. Equipment. Okay. Oops. Equipment. Okay. Anything else on the equipment? I think that's it, right? Okay. Make myself a note. Adds the equipment. Each one will come as a game item object with all the item attributes added to it, transferred to the player. And I will continue this pattern of making easy things here on the actor. Where are my properties? We're going to say public list or game item object list equipment is player.equipment, and that way I can just call actor equipment right there. All right, add equipment. So now it should add the equipment, which means that when the bad guy attacks me, it will have damage and and attacks. So we'll actually be able to compute some damage when I get to that point, which might not happen tonight. I'm just trying to set these up. Let me actually populate that for this and set the prefab up as well. Let's see. So we have our starting stats. We have our starting other stuff. Starting equipment is going to be the bone saw. And there's not going to be any attributes on this, although, you know, I need to add to this the potential for attributes. We should start that up again. I think we'd need to do more singing in bars and pubs. You know, I've always wanted to open a pub called Philosophia, which is the root word for philosophy, where it's like a coffee shop during the day. You can read, there's books, maybe there's a room full of board games, and then at night it becomes a bar, and maybe musical performances, maybe speakers during the day, readers, stuff like that. But I think that this bar should have songs, so that when the crowd comes in, you start singing the old shanties. And maybe, just maybe, the menu will have like the theme song for the pub on the back, and it will be a thing that everyone who goes there knows, and they just love singing it. And maybe every once in a while we'll give everyone a free like half shot. Just sing too, you know? That's not how some places do that. Yeah. So, okay, this game needs to become very successful so I can open that bar. It's going to be in Hawaii, by the way, so you're all invited. If this game, you can mark my words. Those of you who are you've got to type in the comments in the chat here. But those of you who are watching live, put in the chat that you agree. And if you do that, and if this game makes $10 million in net revenue, and I open a pub in Hawaii, I will invite all of you to that. You'll have to remind me. I'm going to forget, but I'll invite all of you. And I would actually pay for you to come to Hawaii if you're from the United States or Canada or Mexico or close enough. Or otherwise, we'll figure it out. If it makes a lot, then probably wherever. So you have to say, I agree, though, to remind me. You're agreeing to remind me later that I did that I said that. So, write in the comments now. Otherwise, you're not invited. All right, so what was I doing? Oh, yes, I was going to add the chance for item attributes. So really what we need here is another class, another public class. So system.serializable, and we'll do public class actor starting item attribute starting object attribute, and this is going to have a public item attribute and public chance or public float chance item attribute. Okay, public float chance, and that's going to be from a 0 to a 1, and there we go. So this is going to be that, and instead we're going to say, I'm going to set this to 1. So it's always going to be 1 unless I change it. So if random.range, oh, didn't I make a utility for this? Legend utilities.random, random from 1 is less than chance, attribute chance. Oh, actually, if it's greater than the chance, then continue. Otherwise, we will add attribute dot item attribute dot uid. Okay, so now if the chance say 0.1 and random from 1 is going to be say 0.5, that's greater, so we'll continue. But if it's less than or equal to the chance, then we'll add the attribute. That's better. And then we got a bug somewhere. Do we? Oh. Oh. That's not needed. Oh, good. Aaron's invited. Aaron's the only one who's paying attention and also at a keyboard. Oh, well. You're still invited. Your whole family's invited. Um, the kid might not be able to come until, except in the daytime. All right. Is there still any more errors? No errors. Okay, good. All right, so that should work. So I'm going to add the item attribute here. We're going to say we're going to work through this bug. Okay. 2 or 3. Just need to make this one down here so I can actually edit it. And of course. All right. Strong, because that's the one that we can. The chance, we're going to say it's a 10% chance. Okay, then we'll move this up and do 1 to remove that extra 1. All right, and same here, remove this, move that up 1, and just confirm that this is the correct one. Okay, so now there's a bone saw with a 10% chance of being a strong bone saw. Do we want to add player luck to that? No, that's too much. That's too deep. Too deep. I don't need to add that. Player luck comes into play everywhere else, but not there. All right, so now that should happen. Are we able to check that? Where's my actor? Actor. And player, equipment, list, empty. Let's press play. We should see a bone saw come up here. We do have a bone saw, which is a sword. Does this one have the attribute? Nope. All right. So that appears to be working. All right. So that means I'm going to save this prefab. That means we have a pretty decent... I think this actor settings script is pretty decent. This should work for I think all actors. And I can override it if needs be for specific actors. Like, I mean, even goblins can have different skin tones, right? I suppose, because... I mean, let's just see. Let's just... That gets deeper when we talk about, because now we have to think about materials, and it's not yet in a shader. Eventually I would make a shader for this. Here's the body. So right now our material, where's our material, is this material. I could, you know, have just random one of these materials, or I could do a shader that has like a, you know, hue saturation type of thing and just randomize that so they're all slightly different, or, you know, some are green and red and stuff. But I think what I will do is keep it vanilla for now, just looking at these. Keep it vanilla for now, and then later I will make an update to figure out different skin tones, because I couldn't do a shader where it's just like it takes one of these base ones and then just kind of modifies the hue and saturation just a little bit so that there's a little variety. So if you have got 10 of them around you, they might look like they're all from the same area based on their skin tone, but you made the same tribe or something, but they're all different. Maybe goblins in certain areas are look different based on where they're from, and maybe the ones in the other areas are stronger, so the ones you meet earlier is easier. Corey, you didn't say you agree. You said I need a theme song, but you didn't say agree. Do you not like Hawaii? Is that what you're saying? You don't like Hawaii? Are you an alien? Oh, material instances. That's a new thing, huh? I don't know much about that. I remember Jason had a video about new stuff, and material instances was one of those. The question is, does a material instance take up more RAM if you have 2 or 3 of them versus one material that has a shader that changes the hue? Does that take up RAM? I don't know these answers. I don't know those things. But that'll be for another time. I don't want to do that right now. You know what we didn't include? We didn't include hit points. Corey, did you not hear? I was going to fly you out there. I was going to fly you to Hawaii for the grand opening of the Philosophia pub that I'm going to open in Hawaii if this game makes more than $10 million net revenue. Which you know it's going to, so you might as well just say I agree so that you can come to Hawaii. Like, come on, man. Jeez. Oh, they should be light on RAM. Okay, well, I'll have to learn more about those when the time comes for that, because that's pretty cool. Hit points. Hit points. That's what we didn't add here. Starring stats. We're going to add hit points and magic points. And we didn't add armor either, which is technically going to be equipment. And hold on, let me add these two first here. We're going to be hit points. Hit points and hit points max. Yeah, I was thinking... and for this one, doesn't have any magic points. So hit points max is going to be... how are we going to do this? So what I'm thinking is, this script just adds the stat and sets the value. I don't want hit points to be greater than hit points max. But like if I do hit points max between 15 and 20, I don't want to make this between 15 and 20 because it might be less, but I don't want to make this 15 because then I want it to be max. So I could add a boolean to match another one, but that's just well, yeah, how about we do this? I'll change it up just a little bit. Seems easy enough since I set it up this way. Acting starting stat can be public stat, child stat. So this stat will be the same final value as the stat, which i.e. max health / health. And then when we add our stats, for one, set points, and then if stat.child stat equals null, then we'll continue. Otherwise, we'll say var new child stat equals actor.player. But didn't we just make this actor.stats? We did. So actor.stats add child or stat child. Wait a minute. Oh, UID is here. Okay. Duh. I forgot I did that. Child UID. Child UID is going to be child stat UID. All right, so child UID, and actor as the new owner, and then new child stat dot set points. Do this var points equals random range from here, and we'll replace this with points, and then set points and false, and that should be good there. So now it will get both the stat and the child stat, and they should have the same points. You know, you should tell that oven that smoking's a bad habit. Hello, the bull. How are you today? Oh, the bull, you should probably just say, I agree. If you missed it. It's a thing about going to Hawaii for free once this game makes $10 million in net revenue, so you can come to the opening of my pub, where there will be a theme song, and you're all expected to sing along. So you should definitely say agree, because I know you love singing along at pubs. Alright, so now hit points. We can do hit points and magic points. It might have magic points, even though it's going to not be able to use them. So magic points stat max, hit points max, and the child will be the hit points. Hit points. And the child here will be the magic points. And yeah. So the player's magic points and hit points are derived from their stamina, personality, and wisdom. And I guess actually that the bad guys would have those set by those things as well. Actually, now that I'm... Oh, that's a good idea, the bull. You've got, time, but it's always a good idea to be prepared. I'll have to look into that, because if these are going to be computed by the other stuff, then really it doesn't... These should just be 0, right? Because we've got our item up here, the character class. I don't think I actually set those, did I? Hit point max is 0. Magic point max is negative. What does mage do for stats? Magic point 0, 0. Yeah. Race, goblin. What was elf for stats? This is where we set the magic points max. Yeah, so the actual computation for these is based on all these other stats. So I should add that here, that the goblin, yeah, hit point max and magic point max are both going to be here. What is the half orc has? Oh, see, I think there might be a bug. I don't know why the half orc stats are empty when it should have at least these. Yeah. That's it could be some other bug from when I was developing the game. Anyways, we'll say that hit points max is going to be 35 as a default, and 20 for the magic points as a default for all goblins. And then these are augmented by level. And turn these off for that. Final stat. So essentially what we're saying here is we're going to have 35 hit points plus 3 per level, and 20 magic points plus 2 per level. And actually, we're going to do this as well. Another 1 might per level. And we're going to add 0.5 wisdom per level times value. No. Yeah, just per level, so final stat. And I think I need to, yeah, I think I need to go through these at some point and make sure they're accurate, and definitely redo the half-orc one. But for the goblin, we're going to set these so that the might is augmented. Those are augmented by level. And then fighter for the character class. Of course, classes can be on any races, technically. So let's see. Oh, and we just copied the knight on this one, so they're going to get more magic and more hit points as well. Okay, so let me just move this down a little bit. We'll say 2 more and 1 more there. All right. So we can add those stats, but I guess we don't need to really do the math on them, and the values are going to just be 0. And then they're going to get computed. Let me override this, save the prefab overrides. Let's check where we compute that. Well, yeah, I mean it should just do it automatically at this point. So I think what I'm going to do is just on these actors here, I'm gonna just do a test where I'm gonna say debug.log max health for game object.name is stats dot get properties dot stats dot base stats dot health hit points. Oh no, it's not in base stats, it's in hidden stats. Which stat type is it? Probably just stat then. Dot hit points, yes. Hit points max UID dot dot final stat and yeah. Okay, so that just should spam the console a whole bunch. Yeah, you better hold me to that promise. But again, if you don't say I agree, then you're not coming. I don't know which ones of you did and didn't. I've only seen like 3. So, William Griffith, you better say I agree. Same with you, Oliver. Unless you already said it. Did you already say it? I can't remember now who said it, but those are the magic words. All right. Let's see what we spam with. All right. Max health is 4, 5, is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That is not accurate. Okay. Okay. Where do we compute the max health? We compute max health in player tick, stats tick, for each game stat in the list, game stat tick, blah, 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 blah. Check for changes. We do set them dirty. Actor settings, actor stats set dirty. why would it be only 1? Ah, good. Thank you. Whew. This is really just my ploy to make sure people show up on opening night. All right. Stats. We have 10 stats. We have all these stats. Hit points max. We're missing magic point max. Did I Oh, I assigned hit points max twice there. Okay. Need to fix that. So this doesn't actually show the values. Maybe it does if we go to debug mode. Let's see. Debug mode. No. Modification level? No. Yeah, I guess it doesn't show mastery level. No. Okay. No. So it doesn't show the values. It only computes them or something. I don't even know at this point. There's just so much to remember. Well, it should work. Stats.tick. Make a debug log here. Debug.log. Tick for GameStat.name, the object name. So again, this is going to spam the console, but I should see some for. I mean, this is the basic, and it's almost certainly is working in that regard. It's just, what am I missing? All right. Yep. So it is doing the tick for hit points max. So while we're out of it, though, we can fix this thing and make this magic points max. Okay. And we'll set that. Oh, save that. All right. So it's doing that. GameStat.tick. Where's auto compute set? Let's find out. If object name equals hit points max, then we will debug log for object name, and we're going to say auto compute is auto compute, and then say we'll copy this. Done. Okay, let's just see what that spits out. It spits out auto compute's true. Okay. Okay, I just want to copy this and then just try recompute. If not is dirty, return. So we're going to do this. Is dirty equals is dirty, and then on tick I'm going to delete that and delete that, and we'll try again. Make sure it's actually set dirty, And really, this should only happen on the first one. So I'm going to say collapse. Pause. Okay, forget the collapse. Blah, 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 all that stuff. I'm not sure where all those warnings are coming from. Blah, blah, blah. Da, 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 da. Okay. Okay. Done relinking gear prefabs to do actor other levels. Is this important? Oh. Why is this calling get other levels here? Owner get other levels. And the owner is the actor. So the actors get other level is not supposed to be... Okay. That could be where we're going wrong. So we're going to return player dot get other levels. Right? Get other levels is on the player, get other levels. Player, get other levels. Okay. Didn't we have the uppercase P1 too? So return player, get other levels. So actor is an object that I have stats, and that means it has to have a get other levels, but the player already has the method built out that includes all the stuff. And the reason why, this is actually a good bit of trivia, the reason why health was 1 and not 0, max health was 1 and not 0, if we look at the stat for that, that was in just regular stats, hit points max, it says the final stat has to be a minimum of 1. So it was actually 0, but this was making it minimum of 1 because you can't have a final hit points max that's less than 1. Alright, let's press play again, and we'll see if it works this time. I'm just going to pause real fast. That's what I'm going to do. Instead we get null reference exceptions. Perfect. Okay. Okay. So what I think I need to do here is, let's see. Actor 76. What we're gonna do if game dot game dot is game ready, return. So if the game is not ready, then we return, and I'm gonna put up here using Infinity PBR Legend of the Stones game static. That, and then down here we'll just say if not game is ready, then we return. Okay, so I think what it's trying to do there is it's just trying to do that before the game's even ready, so it hasn't done all of its adding of the classes and races and all that jazz, so it shouldn't try doing that until after. If it doesn't call a tick, then none of the module stuff actually does anything at all. So let's see now. All right, we are still getting those. God damn it. Let's see. Do we see anything of value? No. We see nothing of value. Oh, we didn't add a gender. What is this? Okay, so what we can do is add a few things here, just some properties. So public bool has class is going to be get character class does not equal null, and then we'll just copy that a few times, and we'll do has race and has gender, and we'll copy these. Oops. Up there, and then we'll do has class question mark do that. No, question mark that. Is that right? No, that's not right. We'll do this. If has class, then we'll do that, and we'll just add these. There. So we didn't add a gender to the goblin, and that may be what's causing this no reference exception. So that's a good update, though, just to check for those, because it could be that later there's a character that just doesn't have a class. Like it could be maybe the spider doesn't have class; it's just a spider. Just has the race but no class. Yeah, so that's a good update. Do we get the bugs? No, we don't. Ooh, max health is 35 across the board. Excellent. Now, now we can check if my system is working, which of course it's working. Come on, it's my system. My stuff never breaks. By saying base stat, no, not base stat. Going back to our goblin race up here, and we're gonna say the stamina is going to increase our hit points. Wait. Oh, no, what we're going to do is add level. We didn't add level to the goblin, and we do want to do that, so that's going to be one more starring stat to add. And so we're going to do it level. Level. And no child for level. Okay. And then we're going to be anywhere from level 1 to a level 3. And now that because the level augments the max health and hit points and magic points, we should see those not all equal 35. In fact, none of them should equal 35. Yeah, okay, there we go. So now we've got 45, 50, and 40 because they're different levels. So it must be 5 per level. And at level 1, you get plus 5 because of level 1. So there you go. Alrighty. That's good. So now we can move on to the next step, which is always good because sometimes in these streams I've got an idea in my head of where I'd like to end up, and I don't know if I'm going to get there. And I think, usually about 3 hours is when I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get tired, especially on a night like this when it's warm out. And we're going to get there, I think. I'm going to get there. We're going to get there. And where we're going to go is these bad guys actually taking damage and maybe even doing their death transition. But it won't be their full death transition, I don't think, because that requires more stuff and referring back to stuff I did before and changing stuff and other stuff. But how about just reducing their health? Make sure I got rid of all my debugs. Okay. So, actually, let me see. Did I add a debug log for when these get hit by the arrow? So I didn't add armor. Armor is where armor class comes into play. So that'll be something to add. I just get closer, so I definitely hit. Okay. I probably have too many debugs on this one too. Okay. Play impacts, to-do, got hit, to-do, all of this. Ha, look at that. Okay, so we trigger the animation. Let me press pause or stop there. Go back to Rider. We trigger the animation. We do the trigger grunt, but we didn't do any math on the got hit. So how do we do that? We're going to have to pass damage or something to this. Where do we use this? Actions, attack and handle hit on actor. So those are two different places. So I think I can create a new object that includes, because when we pass the attack over, we need to include the final damage. That amount's going to be changed by the receiver's stats. But we're going to pass along the damage as well as the attacking object, well, something, I don't know. Yeah, and we need to know who did the hit, because if an arrow hits something, 3 seconds after it was shot, that player might be the one to say like, got it, something like that. So we need to know the player that hit to. All right, so I think this is arrow collision. Do we have a reference to who shot it on this? Doesn't look like it. Hit target. Okay. Okay, handle hit on actor. Got hit, but what we need is the player, the person who shot it. Let me look at my prefab for the arrow. Where's my prefabs? Prefabs. Particle projectiles arrow has the arrow flight, arrow collision. So arrow collision is going to have whoever shot it, I think. Or yeah, so let's try that. We're gonna do private. I have stats shooter, and then public I have stats shooter is going to get shooter. Or just return shooter. Yeah, and then we'll do public void set shooter. I have stats new shooter, and shooter equals new shooter, and we will just throw that there like so. Okay, so now when the arrow system creates one of these, instantiate prefab arrow. Do we know who's shooting? No, we don't. So I'm going to add that. We're going to say shooter's going to be required. So I have stats shooter. Put those, and then down here somewhere after instantiation we're going to say var arrow collider collision equals new arrow dot get component arrow collision, and arrow collision dot set shooter is going to be shooter. And then we're going to get some errors here as we've changed that method, and we need to add here, and then this is going to be active player. So we're going to pass in the active player because this is our actions for the player, and the active player is the shooter at this point. Okay, and then so on trigger enter data handle actor got hit, and we're going to say shooter. So pass in the shooter, and should we compute the damage when we shoot it, and the damage is just what it's going to be, or should we compute the damage when we hit? I mean, in a logical sense, if I cast a spell on myself that increases my damage after I shoot it, it shouldn't affect what I already shot. So I think I should just include the max damage when I shoot it and pass that along here. In this, it will just be held on the arrow collision. So, yeah. So we're then also going to do private float damage, or damage, and then public float damage is damage, and fix that. And then public void set damage float new damage is going to be damage equals new damage. Okay, so that means then we're also going to pass in shooter damage and got hit. Isn't there a not an overload? Okay, got hit is going to be I have stats, and this I'm going to change the name here to attacker because this could come from melee as well, so it's no longer a shooter necessarily, and float damage. Okay, got hit by attacker dot name dot object dot, where's name? Game object. Guess we don't really have a name method there. So for damage max. Okay, so we got hit for damage. We got an error here. Why? Okay, so this is again, so active player melee damage. Roll melee damage. And I'm going to add another one for roll range damage. And I'm going to add this to legend utilities. I think it fits better here because it's not just the player who will do it. So we'll do public static float roll made damage, and we're going to be I have stats, and we'll call this actor, I guess, and we'll do that. Return 0 for now, and we're going to duplicate this and roll range damage. Is that yeah, and I think any changes by the defender will happen after. So I'm going to get the damage, the max damage, and that will be reduced by the defender. So the damage done is always going to be reduced after the hit is done. So maybe, okay, let's just do it outside of that first. We're going to do this on Actually, I'm overthinking this. I think. So, yeah, active player dot. So, yeah, I think I'm overthinking a little bit, but let me walk it through it here. And we're gonna say get roll for melee damage. This is going to be pretty straightforward, I think. Okay. Oh, roll for melee damage. Okay, so what we're going to do is var damage is equal to random.range, or I think I have a legend utilities.random range. Why did I create my own? I don't know why I created my own. There's got to be a reason. I don't know why I created my own. I think because I was gonna like, oh, I think I remember why. Because this is where I was gonna add the luck value. Okay, so okay, so we'll keep it not breaking for now. Okay. So I wanted to include a luck value. So float luck value, and equals -1, and bool higher is better equals true. So we're going to say if luck value is equal to -1, then we'll, or if luck value is less than 0 or equal to 0, just less than 0. So if there's no luck value, essentially, then just return random range. But otherwise, we're going to get luck result by saying var luck random roll equals random from 1, and if luck random roll is greater than or equal to luck value and higher is better, or luck random roll is less than or equal to luck value and not higher is better. In other words, if you got lucky, then we're going to return mathf.max between 2 random rolls. Otherwise, we're going to return this. Okay. So what we're doing here is if we aren't using luck, just return a normal random range. All right. Then we're going to compute luck. And by doing this, we're all going to pass the luck value so that we're going to get that from a lookup table. But I'm going to say here, get the roll for luck. And then on this next one, if luck is in the lucky zone, depends on if higher is better, then return the higher. Oh, okay, we need to fix this. If luck value is higher than the roll and higher is better, then return higher of 2 randoms. So we're actually going to duplicate this because I have to change it. So if the random roll is greater, okay, if the luck value, higher values are better, like in this case, yes. No. Wait, luck value, yes. I want, if my luck value is higher, the higher my luck value is, then, it's confusing me, I'm getting tired. So we want the if it's less than or equal to luck value and higher is better, then we'll take the max of those. Because if my luck value is 0.75 and I roll anything under 0.75, then boom, I got it. So that's why I had it backwards at the beginning. And then we're going to do the opposite here. So if the luck random roll is greater than the luck value and not higher is better, then we'll get the lower of 2 randoms. Higher. Yeah, and this is going to be lower. Alright, so the max f min of 2 randoms between those ranges. Essentially, if you're lucky, which itself is not guaranteed, you'll get the higher of 2. It doesn't mean you'll always get a great roll. These could be terrible rolls, each of them, but you'll just get the better one. And if we don't do anything like that, then we'll just return that. But I don't think we'll ever get here. All right. So let's, whoops. Returns a random value between min and max with options to include a luck value, which may provide the better value of 2 random rolls rather than 1. Okay, that's why I created my own random range. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do a var player luck value, and for now we're just going to pass in 0.5, and I'm going to do debug.log do player luck value, because I don't want to set that up now, but I know I'm going to have to pass that in. So we're getting a random range from active, or they're on the player already, so melee damage min to damage max, and player luck value, and true, higher is better. Okay, I guess I should keep that just in case I ever have the other one there. So damage equals that, and that's that. So we're going to return that. Okay. Roll range damage. Roll for range damage. And we'll repeat this. Random range damage min and range damage max. All right, so that should work for both of them. You made a sandwich. No, I didn't, Oliver. Cannonball. You were supposed to say Marco Polo. That's what you were supposed to say. Ooh, wouldn't it be cool if the pub also had a pool? No, that's a liability. The pub won't have a pool. Sorry. All right. I'm gonna keep higher is better there, just for prosperity, just for sanity's sake, or whatever the word would be. All right. So I think these both will return the right damage, because I already compute the damage min and damage max. I can remove my debugs, and actually, I can update this to just be the final stat thing, because if they don't have it, it will be added. But I can do that later. Okay, with the get, because the final stat will use get, and if it, yeah, but I can do that later. Okay, so we get these, we get the range damage, so roll for that. Where was I on the actions, was it? Active player for shoot. I have stats shooter. And I guess this is where I would also pass in the damage. So active player dot roll range damage, and we can update does that work? Did it work? It did. Damage. So now I've passed in shooter and damage. So on my arrow collision, we will say set damage will be damage. And now that is all that matters. Now, I guess at some point I'll have to do damage type. Yeah, so debug.log add damage type. So just a reminder for myself to add damage type if it's a fire arrow or something. Stuffed chicken breast. Well, that's why your oven was on fire. Okay, so that should do that. Now I want to do the melee one as well. Melee, melee, melee distance, did hit, check, active player return. What is this? Where is... Okay, the attack enemy. There we go. Enemy. Okay, so this was a random, like, I need to update debug.log update hit chance. Is this computed on the defender side? I think it is. I think it is going to be like the hit chances will be computed after we pass the damage to the defender. The defender might roll for basically dodging or blocking, and so the hit chance is not really going to be computed here. But I'm going to just mimic it for now, or oh, interesting. It might not be. Or maybe it's a separate roll. Maybe it's a separate roll because there's the whole miss aspect. For now, we'll keep it separated out and like this, and we'll just pretend we roll. So we play the impact sound, and then we say got hit, active player, and roll melee. Oh, I forgot I actually added that already. Okay. Okay. And now let's see if that works. We should see some debug logs and some errors, of course. Oh, it might not be an error. Hasn't finished reloading yet. Okay. Let's press play. See what happens. And then we will try shooting. Let me clear that out first. We will first shoot that. Oh, hit the train. Okay, I'm not gonna do mouse over. I'm just gonna go. There we go. Got hit for 3.576508 damage maximum. Okay, let's get another attempt there. Got hit for 2.55, so we're gain random. Excellent. So we're getting some details there. Now let's do the melee. Did it get hit there? Got hit for 1 damage. Oh, because they don't have any melee weapons, or my melee weapons aren't set up properly. So they're getting 1 damage because that's like basically the minimum. Except that one got hit for more. Inventory. Oh, I need to add the... Oh, she's got a sword. That's why. These ones not have any weapons. I guess these ones don't have weapons. That's why they're getting 1. Okay, so that is going... So the last thing I want to do before going for an evening walk in this wonderful warm weather is to actually make the damage come off of the bad guy. So got hit for that damage, and then we're going to say take damage. Okay, so we're gonna say new, yeah. So take damage, and we're gonna do damage minus defense against attacker. Actually, I don't know. Let's see. How's my math gonna work on this? Ooh, I almost knocked a plate over. The math on damage. I don't know, actually. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'm near San Francisco where it's freaking expensive, which is why I don't own a home. But I look at Zillow all the time and think, man, this game better make $10 million so I can buy a mansion in Hawaii and make a Philosophia pub. Um, yeah, it's about set here too. You must be on the West Coast or thereabouts. Yeah, so I think I might not do the actual computation right now. I think I need to think about it more and remind myself what the heck it was supposed to be before. A year ago or so when I started, or 5 years ago when I started doing this. Somewhere, let me see if I can find it on my system here. Let's see. RPG numbers, RPG numbers application, numbers document, rpg.numbers. Yeah, I don't know if this is all I made this so many years ago. I was sitting at a Starbucks at the time. I was working on the Barbarian, but my laptop kept crashing with the Barbarian, so I literally had to use my mom's iMac. She had me pick out her computer, and I got her a really powerful iMac at the time when they first came out, like with the Retina ones. And so I was able to use hers to actually finish the game because it was right at the end. I was pretty much done. I just need to build it and stuff. And it kept crashing. But I would go to Starbucks and I would fill out this and do all this stuff, even looking out some quests. Look at all those quests. Tons of quests that you can do in the game. And all this stuff. And did I do any... I didn't do... Write down... No, I didn't write down any... Oh, yeah, I did. Damage. What was damage going to be? Oh, yeah, proficiency. I need to take that into account. I need to make sure I'm taking that into account. So, weapon attack rolls times weapon damage times weapon proficiency times attacker luck bonus times party bonus. Oh, party bonus. I didn't know there was a party bonus. I forgot about that. Minus defender armor times defender resistance times defender luck bonus minus defender party bonus. I don't remember what party bonus was supposed to be. But I think that's supposed to be like if you're all dark or all evil or all good or something, then maybe you'd get a special bonus. And then attacker luck bonus is random number is greater than attacker luck. Then bonus equals 1 plus weapon proficiency divided by 10. That changes things too. So I'm gonna have to rethink about. Oh yeah. This is the party proficiency. If you are all of the same type, so if you're all evil or all good or all earth or all whatever, then you'd get bonuses for various things like that for your party. And your hirelings too, so you might not all have the party itself. So I think I need to take a step back, take a moment, and really think about how I want to do the damage. I can always change it later, but if I remember correctly, I wanted it to be a little bit more complicated than just the straight, this is the damage, that's the defense, do the math. And, oh, you're in Santa Barbara? That's a nice area. It's warmer there than it is here. But yes, freaking expensive there too. All of California is expensive now, unless you want to go somewhere where they want to break away from the state, but you don't want to go there because everyone has a gun and they'll shoot you because you have a Bernie Sanders sticker on the back of your car. Your Prius. Not like I have a Prius with a Bernie Sanders sticker or 5 on the back of my car. I also have a Pete Buttigieg and a math sticker. So, yeah, I won't go to the northwest part of California. I don't want to get beat up. Anyways, yeah, I need to rethink this because I like the idea that you will get more bonuses for various things. But this is going to require more thought than I have in my brain right now. So I need to take a break from all that and all this. So there we go. That was pretty cool though, because we did a lot. I feel like I did a lot. I feel like I should make sure I save this overrides. Oh, none to save, but good. I should save these in case there are no none. Good. Okay. So yeah. So I think that's pretty good because now we got some goblins going on here, and I think another next step will be to spawn these randomly. So like the male and female, I might have a object, a enemy spawn object, basically that has a female and a male, and it just randomizes when you first instantiate it. It then has to save that value so that later it comes back the same one with the same skin tone, the same armor. Like there's a chance that maybe the fighter might have 2 or 3 different weapons, you know what I mean? So that they're not all the same. Some might have a shield, some might not have a shield, some might have different armor than others. So I want that kind of variety in there, so when I spawn 40 different ones, you might actually get 30 different looks out of it, and they all look like they're different, even though they're all very similar. So it's not like gonna change the difficulty much. It just throws like some randomness in there on the difficulty, yes, but also on the look and feel. And then all of that value needs to be saved and serialized so that when you reload, it's the same one, so you don't suddenly get characters with different looks and stats and stuff. That's another stream altogether. But we got some stats being added, which is outside of that whole system. We will need to make sure that the player is saving it. I think the player is already set to save stuff. That's what these JSON strings are for that. And then, yeah, see, we already have skin tones and stuff like that. So, yeah, so that's that. And I think this is good. This is good. And we got the damage being done, the basic damage being done. It's obviously needs to be more complicated. I want it to be more complicated, but yeah. So I'm going to head out, and I want to thank you all for joining. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. Oh, a bunch did like this. 13 likes. That's always a good thing. And I might stream tomorrow. I didn't schedule one because I think I want to sleep in. I'm very tired. I haven't slept enough this week. But I think I'll probably end up streaming tomorrow. But we'll see. So keep an eye on the Discord for that or on the YouTube. And thanks. Have a great day or night.